Everyone loves a good anime fight. Like 90% of anime YouTube is anime fight compilations, top 10 anime fights, anime fight tier lists, people reacting to anime fight scenes, who would win debates, stuff like that. And I don't think I need to tell y'all that the best anime fight scenes can usually be found in action anime. You know, your battle shonens, action thrillers, your supernatural punching fests. But the other day I was rewatching Neighbors with Zac Efron and Seth Rogen, which may be one of the first times anyone has rewatched that movie since like 2015. And there's a fight scene in it that's so unexpectedly good and fun to watch despite, I mean, the movie is a frat boy bro comedy, but I mean, it got me thinking about unexpectedly good fight scenes in non-action movies. And by extension, since this is an embarrassing otaku channel that's not intelligent enough to talk about live film, the best fight scenes in non-action anime. So yeah, let's talk about that, I guess. Like and subscribe. Now, I don't really have any of this planned out. I kind of just had this video idea like 20 minutes ago, so this is all off the dome. But I think the best place to start is with the fight scene that I love to gas on Twitter from a show y'all are probably sick of me bringing up all the time. It's Taiga vs. Sumire from Toradora. Yes, the famous action thriller Toradora, known for its brutal, gratuitous violence. Basically, the context of this fight is that Taiga, the female lead of the show, has beef with the student council president Sumire because she believes that Sumire is playing with the feelings of the guy she likes. And because Taiga is one of the most Black Air Force energy female anime characters ever, she decides to squash this beef by jumping Sumire at school in broad daylight. Cue one of the most gritty and visceral fight scenes in an anime that you wouldn't expect to have a gritty and visceral fight scene. They're like lunging at each other with kendo swords on some Demon Slayer type stuff. Taiga is just out there throwing wild Street Fighter combos. I think she says a slur at some point. I don't remember, but it sounds like something she'd do. But it's wild. You can feel every impact. They're both like bleeding and bruised by the end. It's like, bro. Shout out to the English dub too. Obviously, Rie Kugimiya kills it in the original Japanese, but Cassandra Lee Morris delivers those lines like she was really out there fighting in the recording booth.
You're a spineless chicken shit and you hurt Kitamura! I won't let you get away with it! I won't!
Stop it, Taiga!
But yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind when I sat down to record all this. But now that I've been, sitting here thinking a bit longer, another one that comes to mind is one that probably should have been more obvious. I'm talking about the famously problematic comedy slash romance slash office drama slash harem slash fantasy anime, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. So if you don't know, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is basically about the life of an office employee who has to live with a bunch of magical dragons who can conveniently turn into marketable waifus. Also, this scene happens, which, we don't have to get into it in this video. Now, there are actually a good amount of action scenes in this show, which makes sense because there are a lot of dragon characters and they're like super powerful and world destroying. What is it? World buster level? Ain't that what people call it? So a lot of the comedy comes from them being super overpowered in everyday mundane scenarios. Like when they're playing dodgeball at a children's park and it ends up looking like a coked out Haikyuu OVA. But there are a couple actual fight scenes from the show too. There's the Kana versus Toru fight scene that went viral when season 1 was first airing. And they wasn't even fighting, they was just playing around. But the one that actually came to my mind was Toru versus Elma in season 2. There's no context you need to know, it's just two dragon girls with godlike abilities beating the shit out of each other. This is also a scene I like to randomly bring up unprovoked in my videos. Cause I mean, who wouldn't want to talk about this shot of Elma getting launched into the stratosphere with the camera tracking her every chance they get? There's this shot of their fight causing tectonic plate movements and you're sitting there thinking like, damn. In this same show, we just had an arc where the main conflict was trying to put on a Christmas play for the local shopping district. They duke it out hand to hand for a little bit and the fight ends and they make up and they go scissors or something. I don't know. You can go watch it for yourself. You see, this whole show is just a textbook example of Kyoani being that one kid at school who's at the top of the test scores. They have straight A's, but once in a while they'll turn it up in gym class just to show that they could be a varsity athlete if they really wanted to. It just goes to show that there's so much more to the medium of animation than just fancy fights, right? Explosions, lasers, punching, and energy beams and all that. Great animation studios can make anything look good because there's a host of stories to be told outside of action fighting fests. Although, if they wanted to do that, they could. So those are the two big examples that first come to mind, but there are obviously a bunch more, right? Then comes the problem, and you know, it's a little pedantic, but the problem arises when you start to try and define what a non-action show is. Because both Toradora and Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid are both officially categorized as not being within the action genre, but what about something like, you know, Spy Family? I think most people would think of Spy Family as a comedy, but it's officially listed as action as well, which, you know, makes sense. It's supposed to be like a spy thriller. But it's easy to forget that, so you'll be watching Anya doing her thing at school, you know, generating meme faces for people on Twitter to use. Then right after, it'll be a scene of Lloyd beating some dude's ass, or you're literally murdering someone. Or what about something like the Monogatari series, which, I mean, is pretty hard to categorize in general. Bakemonogatari is listed as being a supernatural mystery romance, but the Kizumonogatari movies are listed as being supernatural action mystery. And I mean, it makes sense. But Bakemonogatari also has the Rainy Devil versus Araragi fight, which is like one of my favorite fights ever. It looks like Splatoon meets Chainsaw Man meets Electric Forest. So I don't know. Do we count that? Where's like the cutoff for the amount of action to where we consider it a non-action show? I don't know. Now that I think about it, that might be off topic. Sounds like a discussion for another video. Okay, see, now that I'm thinking here, a lot more are coming to mind. Like, you know, that one river fight scene in Clanad, or those weird, I guess they're fights in Nichijou. There's that random episode of School Rumble where they literally unload bullets into each other during school hours. There's a bunch of different jokes I could have made there if I was a more unhinged person. Maybe 2021 Damian would have done it, but not now. But the last anime fight I want to bring up is from a show that, now that I think about it, might be the best example of insane action in a definitively non-action show. I'm talking about Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions. Surprise, surprise, another KyoAni show. If you haven't seen the show, it's basically about this Chunibyo girl, Rika, who will often imagine herself in these fantastical scenarios that the anime then brings to life. It's like if the daydreams you had sitting in 8th grade geometry about like saving your crush from terrorists were fully animated by the same studio that made this scene. Okay, I'll stop bringing that up, sorry. The one fight that first comes to mind is actually my daughter's favorite anime scene, and you know, this show is actually her favorite anime in general, which I don't know if I should be worried about that or not. Anyway, the fight scene is Rika versus her older sister, Toka. Rika does some Naruto shit by whipping out her Sharingan and doing a summoning jutsu to bring out her signature weapon, which it's like an umbrella or something, if I remember right. Toka counters with her own frying pan weapon, which always came across as excessive to me, but hey, that's that Asian discipline. I remember when I was a kid, my mom would smack me with a fire poker. We didn't even have a fireplace. But yeah, Rika and Toka have this Fate Stay Night looking ass fight, and it's super dope and, you know, better than your favorite, blah, blah, blah. Demon Slayer could never, all that. But what really makes it is when it like cuts to what's actually happening outside of her delusion, and you just see Rika pathetically flailing around like a goofball, and it's like, damn. That's too good. You know, I actually wanted to do a video about Love Chunibyo a while back, but I never found time to do a rewatch. But hey, I'm glad to talk about it for this video, because these crazy creative action sequences are what sets it apart from other similar shows where it's like, oh, boy meets quirky girl and they fall in love. But yeah, these three fight scenes were the first to come to mind, so I just wanted to spotlight them here because it's always great to see these kinds of sequences in, you know, the rom-coms or dramas. I feel like whenever a studio decides to put a crazy fight scene in one of these shows, they go extra hard to make it fire, just so it, you know, contrasts the other scenes, which may not require as extensive animation. But yeah, let me know what scenes y'all can think of, because I'm sure there's a bunch I didn't mention here, especially the older ones, because y'all know my memory ain't all there anymore. Like even now, just sitting here, you know, recording this outro, I remembered, weren't there some wild fight scenes in like Angel Beats? I don't know. But hey, y'all fill the comments with all the dope fight sequences in non-action anime, and like the video too, subscribe, whatever. All right, peace. Oh, and make sure they're actually not action shows. I don't want to see any of y'all putting like Mob Psycho or some shit in there, or like Licorice Recoil, or even something like Gintama. Those are shows that are very notably categorized as action.